Back during the console wars, Microsoft found gold in the Xbox 360. I have so many cherished memories with this thing, and I'm sure you do too. And while I did and still do love my 360, I could never get heavily invested in the console wars. That was the worst time to be a gamer. You were divided into one of three factions, either Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft. Those who participated would always claim superiority over the other factions. Me? I just love being able to play Garden Warfare and Minecraft online with my friends. But make no mistake, I still kept up with news surrounding all of the consoles, and I still remember the day like it was yesterday. April 25th, 2011, Nintendo revealed the Wii U, which was a console that was supposed to build on what the Wii had started all those years ago. We all know how that story went. The Wii U is dunked on by nearly every side of the console wars, and while Nintendo struggled to gain traction in the arms race, Microsoft saw the opportunity. They knew they had a vice grip on gaming thanks to the 360. All they had to do was make a better console than the 360 and they were in the clear. But they had to take their time. They didn't want to end up like Nintendo with the Wii U. And so, all we could do was wait. E3 was definitely a crowd pleaser back in the day. It was a way for developers and companies to show off the games they were working hard on over the past couple years, and in some cases, even show off some consoles.
PlayStation 4, Xbox One.
While the last console shown at E3 wasn't up to par, it was Microsoft's turn, and they wanted to blow the competition out and win the console wars. All they had to do was what Nintendo don't, and that was nail the presentation. They did not. It felt like Microsoft didn't know who to please. They showcased it like it was a cable box that had Call of Duty Ghosts on it. Not only were they this out of touch with who the average Xbox enjoyer was, it was priced at a whopping $499 US, which was just outrageous for the time. Not only this, but they also made it harder to trade in or sell games. Let's say you wanted to trade in Call of Duty Ghost. Well, not only Microsoft, but the publisher would have to step in and say yes you can, and they would only allow it at certain places. For some games, you couldn't even return it at a GameStop or a Target or a Walmart. They made it extremely difficult for what the gamers wanted to do, which was play games. But hey, even if you found a game that you knew you would never want to return, you would still need to connect to the internet for the console to function, and connect was a requirement as well. And you know the crazy part? Even though they bombed the presentation, Microsoft was still in a good position. They definitely had a safety net thanks to the hard carry that was the Xbox 360. However, that safety net would only last for a day. Sony was set to reveal the PS4 the day after Microsoft's event at E3. The Xbox One's dreams of winning the console wars was now in the hands of Sony and the PS4. And the difference between the two presentations was night and day. While Microsoft looked like it was having a midlife crisis on stage, Sony looked poised and focused. A lot more praise went Sony's way. No matter what Microsoft showed, Sony had a better answer. No dictation on whether or not you could trade in your games. Less mentions of TV and more mentions of gaming. And the finishing blow? It all came at $399 US, $100 cheaper than the Xbox One. Now, after getting your ass handed to you like that, I think most would fold like an omelet and scramble like an egg. But not Microsoft. They had a lot of work to do, and it would all have to be done in the shadow of the PS4. Not only did they have to catch up to Sony, they had to fix all of their mistakes along the way. For a long time, Sony had a 2-to-1 pre-order ratio over Xbox, which was nothing to scoff at. Gamers had started to migrate from the Xbox to the PlayStation. And honestly, Sony deserved this win. They deserved to be in the limelight over Microsoft. While the Xbox 360 was receiving most of the limelight and praise, PlayStation and Sony were hard at work, getting ready to make a better console. And this would be the work they would put out. The PlayStation 4. Sure, they got a little bit of help from Xbox completely shitting the bed, but Microsoft's true villain was themselves. Console update after console update, no matter how good they made it, it still wouldn't outperform the PS4. It was better from the get-go. The Xbox One was doomed to be a runner-up the second they revealed it on stage that day. The only way Microsoft could ever get a vice grip on gaming like they had with the 360 was by winning the next generation of consoles. Flash forward to 2020. Many gamers had started to mature, and the console wars were finally fading away and becoming a memory, just as the agony of every tragedy should. People were more excited to get better hardware than they were about supporting their favorite company or brand. Just a few years earlier, Nintendo would create the Switch and put all of their resources into making polished, high-quality games, sacrificing higher graphics and console power for the ultimate experience within such a constraining frame. Sony is a jack of all trades. It doesn't have nearly as much polish as the Switch does, but it also doesn't have nearly as many IPs as the Series X does. It's somewhere in the middle. Microsoft has started picking up every IP they can get their hands on, aiming for quantity of titles over the quality that you would find in a Nintendo game, creating one of the best game passes in gaming today, while also having the luxury of being able to fall back on next-gen hardware. And while I'm glad the console wars are over, it's still awesome to see how Microsoft bounced back from this minor inconvenience to get where they are now. And come to think of it, could you imagine if the PS4 was just as bad, if not worse? It would be the worst mid-off the world would ever have to witness. It feels like the gaming world has done a complete 180 since 2013, with gamers focusing more on the quality of games over the quality of consoles. Because sure, your console can run 4K, 60 FPS, whatever, but the games on it are kind of dog shit. I mean, pretty much every AAA release recently has had an apology letter published within a week of its initial release, but that's a story for another day. Right now, I'm just glad that consoles are getting a lot better. And while I do think that last generation of consoles really did fuck over Xbox, the story is still unfolding. In a few years, who knows? Maybe Microsoft buys out every IP in existence. Maybe Sony finally gives us some more exclusives like they promised. Maybe the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. All we can do is wait. But you know what you don't have to wait for? This video right here. I picked it just for you. That's all the time I got. I'm gonna go play Garden Warfare on my PS5. Have a good one.